And it seems like you struggled a lot in your childhood. You know, how do you feel like that has shaped you to the person you are today? You seem to be a really great person. But how do you feel like that has shaped you?
I think it put me in the search of love. To be honest, my mom didn't show love. She didn't have time to. So there was never "I love you." There was no hugs, good night. It was we're surviving, and that was her way of showing love. And that's all she could. That's all she had to give. She was at her, the last drop that she had to give us. So for me, I just would watch movies and try to find some way to like build my own mindset of what love is. Take every relationship I dated, and because I really didn't know what love was. My first time my mom told me she loved me, I was actually getting sent overseas with the military, and I was like, what? So I'm on this airplane and I'm thinking the whole time, like, damn, my mom just said she loves me. Very strange.
Wow.
But I was 19 years old. So it took some time, but it helped me build who I am today, just wanting love and loving love so much. And that was my big thing when I was going through the interview process with Love is Blind.
Well, every so often, throw something in there and see me struggling. Like if I'm struggling trying to figure something out while discussing, give me a heads up like, hey, bring it, give me a cheat code.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book 91. Listen, Little Black Book, you know what time it is. Listen, we're going to talk to you guys about a real thing. We're talking about Ikechi and obviously Tyler as well. I mean, Tyler put out a statement in regards to himself and Ashley, which we're going to go through as well. I'm going to break it down for you guys as well. But I want to talk about this very important subject. Bad husbands. Bad husbands. Now, there's going to be a really key word I'm going to speak about for the next few weeks and probably for the whole of the year, and it's called emotional safety. If you've watched me long enough, you probably heard me say it a few times. Emotional safety. Okay, what I'm seeing with both with Ikechi and also Tyler is an issue with emotional safety. When you don't feel emotionally safe, you can't express yourself in difficult emotions. You can't be honest. You can't be your full creative self. You cannot take risks or, take risks. You don't like critique. You do not like you don't like the feeling of rejection. You are fearful of not being a part of the group. Can you guys hear me? Am I still being heard? Y'all hear me? Okay, cool. So what's really important, I believe, what's really important, I believe, for people like Ikechi and Tyler. Now, they may be full-on narcissists, I don't know, but I'm going to take it as if they're not narcissists. I'm going to take it as them being very fearful in the way that they approach their relationships, okay? And so when we look at Ikechi and look at Tyler, I see some similarities. Like, we know the background of Tyler. Tyler's background, as you heard the video, his mother didn't necessarily say that she loved him because, parents be struggling sometimes when they've got their own struggles they gotta go through, right? But the mother wasn't able to tell him that she loved him until 19 years old. And you heard him say that he loves love. Now we'll break him down all the way because we're gonna focus more on him today than Ikechi, because we'll talk about Ikechi a little bit later on towards the end of the video. But I wanted to use these two as a prime example. Now I wish I could actually have brought Wan into the video as well, because Wan from Married at First Sight also has some funny things this episode, but we'll deal with him later on. Okay, so I want to focus on this word, emotional safety. I'm going to put up a little picture here, emotional safety. This is what we're going to be discussing today, okay? Emotional safety, the ability to feel safe to express yourself in your feelings and your emotions. It allows you, and by the way, I've stolen this from psychology.com today, so it's not mine, it's psychology.com today. That's their particular thing. I've stolen it from them. But emotional safety, difficult emotions, honesty, help with problems, differences and belonging, creativity, optimism and gratitude, unique value, risks and mistakes. Why am I bringing this to you? Because I believe both Ikechi and I believe also Tyler have the same issue. They don't feel emotionally safe. Right? Now, this is not an excuse, it's an explanation of behavior. They are not emotionally safe. They don't feel emotionally safe. And their behaviors show us that they don't feel emotionally safe. The lying by both Ikechi and by Tyler, more with Tyler in terms of him being a con man, a scam artist, him lying to women, him not being all the way truthful, is about emotional safety. He doesn't feel safe to tell the truth. Okay? He does not feel safe to tell the truth because what he associates with truth is rejection. Let's go back to our chart. When we talk about honesty, can you connect with the truth about yourself? right? And the failure to be honest about oneself will always lead you to be untruthful with other people. Okay, so the failure to be truthful with yourself about who you are and what you do will always make you be untruthful with others, because you don't feel comfortable being truthful with you, because it's not safe being truthful about who you really are. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't tell the truth about who you actually are in that particular mirror. So we're going to discuss that. And then for Ikechi also has a problem with honesty, right? He's able to give it but not receive it. He has a problem with criticism. He doesn't feel emotionally safe to receive criticism because he takes it as his whole being. If you say something that he don't like, you do something he doesn't like, he starts to feel like he's not in control anymore. And so his honesty is that he'll tell you how he feels about you without thinking about how it will affect you. He doesn't care what words he uses, so long as he says what he needs to say, right? So long as he says what he needs to say, he don't mind. But when you say something back to him, oh, we got a problem. Now suddenly he feels, someone put in the chat, attacked. And it's because he doesn't feel emotionally safe. Because he associates criticism, right, with rejection, and rejection of him. Now, whenever you see these things, it could be narcissism, but it also could be an emotional wound that from your childhood, you have been rejected and abandoned by a parent, or you felt rejected or abandoned from a parent, and the work hasn't been done to actually begin to secure you emotionally. Okay? To secure you emotionally. Okay? So it's really important. So we're going to talk about this in this video for you guys, and hopefully break down some stuff, and hopefully you can learn some stuff as well about yourself in this video as well. Because whilst we are breaking down Ikechi and breaking down Tyler, there's always a chance for us to self-reflect and see how best we can begin to grow and heal in our own relationships as well. Okay, let's just go to the statement. I want to break down the statement in a second or two, but I want to give a bit more background. So I'm going to go back to the video with Tyler, okay? Because like yesterday, what I did with Ashley, I want you to pay attention to what he says about his mother. And when you do hear it, I want you guys to kind of just type it in the chat, okay? So when I play the video with him, and as soon as you hear it, I want you to, as soon as you hear some key information about Tyler, whatever you feel like you heard, type it in the chat that you think is important. And we're going to break it all the way down for you guys. All right, let's get into this.
Stain on it. Can you please get it out? Mom.
Listen, I'm jealous. I'll be honest. I wish my mom was still doing my laundry. I hate folding laundry.
You, speaking of family and your mom, it sounds like your mom has sacrificed a lot for you, and it seems like you struggled a lot in your childhood. How do you feel like that has shaped you to the person you are today? You seem to be a really great person, but how do you feel like that has shaped you?
I think it put me in the search of love. To be honest, my mom didn't show love. She didn't have time to. So there was never I love yous. There was no hugs good night. It was, we're surviving. And that was her way of showing love. And that's all she had to give. She was at her, the last drop that she had to give us. So for me.
Well, let's pause it right there first and foremost. He says quite clearly there that, you know what? His mom was on survival mode. She could only give him survival. She could not give him the love that he might have wanted, he craved, and he desired. Okay? And in that space, rejection is one of the principal things that you'll feel, and a sense of abandonment in that space as well. And maybe even feel some level of betrayal, that your parent could not give you that emotional care. Now remember, obviously, the dad situation, there's something else going on there with the dad situation. So there's already abandonment on that side. Whether he's there or not, whether he came in and out, it doesn't make a difference. There's already some abandonment issues from the dad perspective already. And then you've got a mother who's unable to give the care emotionally that he requires and desires. This is going to be abandonment, betrayal, and it's going to be a sense of rejection. Now, when these wounds hit, okay, when these wounds are not healed, they will play a role in the adult relationship on a major scale. So for him in a space, and yes, absolutely right, another round, it is emotional neglect in a sense, right? The mother, and there's a lot of mothers who do emotional neglect. It's not, and a lot of fathers too. It's not because they're trying to neglect you, it's that they don't have it to give. And so they are emotionally neglectful of the child, whether it was on purpose or not. There's a lot of us who were emotionally neglected by our parents and therefore have informed us about how we should behave. Now, Like I said with Ashley, the similar thing here is that when a mother is unable to give you that affection, that care, that love, the child has to figure out how to survive. How do I move past this feeling that I am being rejected? How do I move past the feeling that it's me that's causing my mother to do this to me? Because as a child, the child will internalize this feeling and then say, it's me. That's the reason why mom can't do it. Mom can't give love because I must be doing something, or I'm not doing enough. You know what I'm saying to you? So you see what children will do sometimes when a parent maybe is stressed or in survival mode, a child might become invisible. We heard it with Carla, actually, on Married at First Sight. If you watch Married at First Sight, she said it as well, becoming invisible. Some children become invisible because they don't want to become a burden to the parent. Some children start becoming very good at academics because they want the affection of their parent because they feel invisible. Some children, will misbehave because for them, they're trying to get the parents' attention, care, and love for them. There are different ways, also dependent on the personality of the child as well, and the environment that they grow up in, that can begin to become a mixed bag of how a child can grow up and internalize certain information. So with him, his mother was survival mode. His mother unfortunately could not give him the care, and so what's going to happen is, what is going to seep in, I believe, for Tyler, is he will want the feminine energy but always betray it. He will want the feminine energy but always betray it. What I mean by this is this: he has an inherent distrust of women, right? And sometimes this is a phenomena that happens with children and the parent that's still left. You see, you'd think that he would have an inherent distrust for other men simply because obviously the father wasn't there, and he probably does. But the fact that he has an inherent, I believe, distrust of a mother or of women is because of what his mother didn't give him. Right? Precisely that, another round. That's exactly it. He does not trust the longevity. He does not trust that a woman will stay around for the long haul because his mother never gave him what he needed. So when you see him talking about, I love love, he does. He loves it in the very beginning. He loves it when it's honeymoon. He loves it when it's blossoming. He loves it when the sky is blue and the sun is yellow. Okay? And he loves it when the treacle of a breeze touches his skin. But the moment the skies crackle open, and it goes grey, and the clouds darken, and it begins to open up, and rain starts to pour, he starts getting triggered all over again, and remembering, damn, I actually can't do this. Damn, this means I may be rejected, I may be betrayed, I may be abandoned. I'm going to do it to you first. Now, there are some aspects that maybe he's narcissistic. Again, I'm not going to talk about that because, again, I like to try and keep it as humanely as possible. But the aspect of that rejection wound, that abandonment wound, that betrayal wound, it can make somebody want to betray you, abandon you, and reject you before they get rejected. It's self-sabotage. And so what you see with Tyler is, yes, in the very beginning, he might have been loving, caring, trying to put his best foot forward for Ashley, and actually he might have been on his best behavior. And then he resorts to stock. He resorts to typical Tyler behavior, which is when he's unhealed, when he has not done the work, when he's not gone to therapy, when he's not been called out on his actual ish, when he hasn't actually looked at himself and sat with himself and gone, I need to feel emotionally safe by actually being honest with who I actually am. Let's go to our emotional safety chart here. To be actually honest with myself and connect with the truth about myself, I run and I hurt others when I feel scared. My natural tendency is to hurt you when I feel scared. Because when I hurt you, I feel my most in control. When I hurt you, I feel power. When I hurt you, also, I'm really kind of also inflicting damage on you as almost like a get back to my mother. Now, I can't, and almost we talk about the self-defense mechanism in psychology where we call it displacement, where you kind of displace your anger and your frustration because you haven't dealt with the original anger. Your mother makes you angry. She's the first one that abandoned you. Well, technically your dad did, so to be honest, it's not your mom. You know what I'm saying to you? It's your mother that you don't like what she did, not who she is, but what she did. And sometimes you can't tell yourself that truth, that you don't like what your mother did. And so other women are being set up and hurt because they're taking the fall for your mother. Your beef is not with the women, it's with your mother. Do you see what I'm saying to you? So that anger and that frustration gets displaced. The displacement is almost like, okay, imagine you go to work, right? You can't scream and shout at your boss, but you can scream and shout at your partner, right? You can't get angry at your boss because he pays your bills, but you can do that at your partner because you're not going to get fired. You might get into an argument, but you're not going to get fired, right? And so in the same vein and fashion, this happens also in relationships where people displace their frustration of past events and past trauma onto a present situation, right? Because he told us he loved love. Let's listen to him.
I just would watch movies and try to find some way to like build my own mindset of what love is. Take every relationship I dated, and because I really didn't know what love was. My first time my mom told me she loved me, I was actually getting sent overseas with the military. And I was like, what? So
19, getting sent overseas, doesn't know what love is. Father's already gone. Mother now telling him that she loves him. And he's going to be conditioned by the army? Now let's just really look at that background and profile. Father not really there. Okay? Mother not giving him the emotional care that he requires and needs, but tells him that she loves him just as he's leaving. Now, what does that do to a mindset of a 19-year-old? Now, I know that sounds a bit wild. 19's a grown-ass man. I ain't gonna lie to you. But remember that at 19, the emotional immaturity. So now by 19, you're now hearing from your mother for the first time that I love you, son. And you have to associate that I love you with you leaving. Ooh. Now, that's interesting because I only just deeped it just now. The association of his love you from mum when she finally gets the chance to say the words is only when he's leaving. Now that's a wild association. What does that do to the mind of an individual? And how do they associate that a woman will love them and only love them and give them that love when they are leaving? I need to unpack that a little bit. There's something deeper there, and I need to unpack that. I'm gonna have to go away and really unpack that because I can feel a revelation coming, but I can't fully grasp it just yet. I might have to go and study it a bit more. But just to understand that at that point, that the association you're gonna have to make and how that's going to play a role in how you deal with women. Again, when we explain this behavior, we're not excusing it. I want to make it very clear. Tyler doesn't get a pass. He's not getting a pass. No. We're just explaining the psychology. I know nobody's saying it in the chat, but anybody who's watching it after, I want to make it very clear. We are explaining behavior. We're not giving them an excuse. We're trying to get a grasp of the psychology because so that other people can also learn as to why they do what they do. You know what I'm saying to you? So if we're associating women don't love me, or my mother who's meant to love me doesn't love me, my father also left me, so I've been abandoned, I've been rejected by my mother, and then only at the time when I'm now leaving, I've now chosen to go, quote unquote, to become a man and leave like my father did, is now my mother actually loving me. Oh. So only when I've done what my dad did, do I actually get the love that I actually required from my mother. That's insane. Now imagine if you go into now your adult relationships. They only really love you when you are at a distance. They only really love you when you're gone. They only really love you when you've inflicted some level of pain, maybe. I like that. Thank you, Jay. That is a great addition. I like that. Sorry, let me put it out there. Said the connection here is he now believes he's valued in his absence, meaning he'll stick around long enough to be missed when he's gone. Wow. Yes, I like that. His value is in his absence. I like that. Yes. So when he's gone, he's missed. He's cared for. That's when people really, really like him. I love that. That is wow. Wow. And that links back. Yes, I love that as well. It links back to the chase. Yes, it links back to the very beginning where we'll talk about him only liking the very beginning of the relationship of when the highs and the euphoria of going after one. You know when someone's brand new and sparkly and clean and shiny silver, that original feeling that you get when you get to know somebody. He likes that. But when the gray clouds come, when there's need for consistency, when there's need for maintenance, when there's need for also what we call resilience, he don't have it. He don't have resilience. He does not have resilience. Relationships require resilience, and they come, and resilience is actually birthed from one, watching and observing our parents, but also at two, through when you stick through relationships, when you are working through relationships, that's how you get it. But if you've already got an association of leaving, and I love what you said again, the value in the absence, there is no need for resilience. The moment you feel any pain, I remove myself or I sabotage. And then we come back to that point, which is then I realize that when I do sabotage and I create distance, the person's going to chase, which is what we call the avoidant anxious cycle. Or sometimes it can even be an avoidant, depending on the types of avoidance that are involved, right? But we call that cycle. And that's what somebody will say, the narcissistic cycle, but it's the highs and the lows. It's a roller coaster that happens where it's like I need that extreme highs and extreme lows, and that's what makes it exciting. But that's a toxic cycle. That's a toxic cycle. Yes, the mother was abandoned by her family as well, which made it very difficult. Yes, that's very true. Okay, all right. And even the newness of children wears off. Yes, absolutely. Because he's probably running away, trying to get away, doesn't want to be rejected first. It's part of it. Like I said, I love that. Again, the value in the absence. Wow. I'm definitely going to research that more because it just clicked. It's beautiful. I love that.
I'm on this airplane and I'm thinking the whole time, like, damn, my mom just said she loves me. Very strange.
Wow.
But I was 19 years old. So it took some time. But it helped me build who I am today, just wanting love and loving love so much. And that was my big thing when I was going through the interview process with Love is Blind. I was letting them know, like, I just love love. Even if it hurts me, I have tattoos about love. It's just, if you're not living for love, what are you doing?
Damn.
So I truly believe that he does want love. I truly believe it. I believe that he wants love. I believe it. But the problem is he has no resilience. He has no strength of backbone to withstand difficult times. The moment it gets hard, he's a runner, he's a track star. He gonna run away when it gets hard, but he gonna sabotage the situation first. Right? That's what he did with the kids. At first, when he started, he was like, "Oh, this is amazing. I'm gonna give these women kids. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be around." And then it gets tough and it gets hard. And then it's like, okay, now I feel like I'm not feeling those good feelings anymore. I gotta go. I gotta create some distance. I've got to create emotional distance between me and you. Yeah. He wants love and fears at the same time, which is what would be in accordance with what we call fearful avoidant attachment. People who fear and who both want love and fear it are of a fearful avoidant attachment as well. Okay, all right. So this is what we talk about a lot in coaching as well, about attachment styles. This is the fearful avoidant attachment style, and this is what makes it difficult also. But you have to recognize that you're having these patterns, otherwise you can't change them, right? Without the recognition, without actually saying, actually, I can see some things are not quite right, it's going to be very difficult to change those behaviors. This is why Tyler will keep on doing what he'll do. He will keep on hurting people. Yes, that is actually it as well. So El said he doesn't want to be depended on, so that he doesn't create disappointment. Absolutely, which is an avoidant wound, which goes back to what we talk about, the anxious and the avoidant wound. In a fearful avoidant, they carry both the avoidant and the anxious wounds. And I'll bring up my things so you can see this as well, just so you can see this. So attachment theory, really quickly. The attachment theory is a psychological explanation for emotional bonds and relationships between people. Okay, and I want to go to the actual, yes, here we go. So if you look at this as well, and we look at fearful avoidant, okay, the fear of rejection, abandonment, betrayal. They feel they are bad and unlovable and low self-esteem, okay. And I want to go a bit further. Here we go. There we go. Yeah. So these children exhibit a puzzling combination of behaviors, appearing disorientated or confused. They might avoid or push away their parents. The absence of consistent attachment pattern is likely connected to unpredictable caregiver behaviors. And I can't read that. Hold on. Let me get it off screen. There we go. And in these situations, parents can be perceived as both comforting and frightening, resulting in disorganized behavior. And I think I've got another slide as well that will go a bit deeper in this as well. Okay, I love this as well. So they can be great listeners, want deep connection, be very empathetic, can look to serve. Problem with that is it can also be hot and cold in relationships, can be overwhelmed by emotions, hypervigilant when it comes to betrayal and rejection, and struggle with no's and boundaries. Okay. Now we heard obviously from Ashley when she said that he struggles with saying no. He's a people pleaser. Okay. So this attachment style, I believe, definitely fits him in that particular space. I don't know if I've got another style, but because again, if you look at the fearful avoidant, they carry both anxious styles and also the avoidant, and I haven't put it on there, the avoidant traits as well. So that's the biggest issue, right? So you got those two things are going to play a massive role in the way that he deals with relationships. That he shows up at the very beginning, but then as soon as it gets serious, the fear kicks in, and then sabotage, and it's a worse type of sabotage. Because manipulation kicks in. And if you know, also some fearful avoidants as well have money issues. No offense to anybody who's a fearful avoidant. It's not everybody. But fearful avoidants can be very bad when it comes to money management. Okay? Very bad. Because their emotions lead them. And because they can be in turmoil, their spending can be a part of that turmoil. So their financial aspects can be very, very difficult. Because he doesn't have no problem getting a job. He has a problem keeping it. It seems, and then he has a problem with actually paying people back. Then he borrows money, and then he is, taking money from people, and they're not paying the money back as well. So this is also another massive aspect of that. Again, I love this. No delayed gratification. Absolutely, love that point as well for fearful avoidance too. That can be a very big thing. So yes, money management is a bad thing. You know, they suffer with that as well. Not everyone, but a lot of them do. And so, yeah, that's a tough aspect as well. Yes, Elsa said fear of success too, or fear of disappointment in the future can be one of those traits of an avoidant in general, not just a fearful avoidant, but an avoidant in general as well. So that's another aspect as well. So don't talk about my spending. I don't want to take account of my account. I hear it. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Okay, so going back to what he was saying in that space as well. So I think he finished his point. Let me see.
I love I love the fuck out of you is a great one as well.
Yeah, that's great. I forgot about that. I love the fuck.
Yeah.
It's so passionate.
Passion.
I love it.
Now pause right there. Did you hear what he said? The word was passion. One thing about fearful avoidance is they love passion. Fearful avoidance, they have the passion and they love novelty as well. They love things being new. Problem with that is sustainability. They love passion, they love desire, they love novelty. Problem with that is sustainability. They often don't know how to sustain that, or they don't. There's a fantasy that is attached to the novelty and the passion, believing that it will always sustain, and if it doesn't sustain, then it's wrong. Then there's something not quite right about the relationship. Something's off. Something's gone wrong. But reality is, nothing goes at 100 miles per hour all the time. There are peaks and troughs, and there is a sustainable period where there is a plateau, and then we can go back up again, or we might go a little bit lower again. Life has those ups and downs. Trouble with that is the instability scares sometimes, the instability of that emotion and not having the passion and desire and the fire and not having those things which are normally there at the very beginning of a relationship, and they don't exist forever, is that they start to question whether this relationship is the right one. That's where sabotage can also kick in as well with them as well, right? So yes, when he said he loved the F out of Ashley, it was true. He did. He loved the F out of Ashley. The reality is he just can't maintain it. He hasn't done the work to create emotional safety. He's not a safe place for himself. He ain't a safe place for Ashley too. Now, I want to look at his statement, okay, which is really interesting. Ashley left him. This was not mutual. Let me say again. This was not mutual. The breakup, the divorce, was not mutual. If we read a statement again by him, it was not mutual. He says here, as many of you have seen, Ashley has shared the news of our decision to end our marriage. Now, instead of saying that we, at this point, he makes it very plain that Ashley is the one that made this news of the ending of the marriage. Now, he's factually correct because it was Ashley on an interview on People magazine. But even if, let's say, for instance, we both agreed to this, it might have been as a closing statement, we've agreed to go our separate ways, but he's made it very clear that no, Ashley made his decision. right? This has been an incredibly difficult and emotional process for both of us, and it is one we have approached with great care and respect for one another. While our journey together began with so much hope and love, we came to realize that there were challenges we could not overcome. I take full accountability for my role in the difficulties we faced. I respect Ashley's decision to move forward in that way that prioritizes her peace and her happiness. So Ashley was prioritizing herself and has chosen herself and left his ass. That's what he just said. Okay? All right? So someone said Ashley wrote it and he edited it, more than likely. And so again, we're being told again once more that, you know, he takes accountability and respects Ashley's decision to move forward in a way that prioritizes her peace and her happiness. Ashley is an incredible woman. I have nothing but admiration and gratitude for love and support she has given me. I ask for kindness and understanding as we both move forward separately, focusing on healing and growth. Thank you to everyone who has been part of our journey. So clearly, we know that this was a decision that was made more by Ashley than it was by him. He didn't get a choice in this. She decided to end this stuff. Okay, all right, and I understand that. You know, I get it. I get why she's ending it in that respect as well. So, you know, he got to go. He got to go. You know what I mean? And so that's the end of that. So my closing statement on Ashley, my closing statement on Tyler before I move to Ikechi really, really quickly is that with Tyler, again, in the situation, the problem that he's faced is that now he has to look at the fact that I'm in this situation again. He needs to be accountable. You're in this situation again. He needs to be accountable. His lack of honesty, because he doesn't know how to be emotionally safe, has cost him a relationship. And in her statement, I don't know if I can find it again. It might be in People magazine, right? She said a lack of transparency, which tells us that there probably was more stuff that came out once more again. Right? There's probably more stuff that came out about, about the relationship or whatever stuff that he did that cost them the relationship. So it's not just the issue with old girl. There were other things that probably came out too. Right? Because when she puts it says, after much reflection, I want to share that Tyler and I have separated for several weeks and have now made a difficult decision to end our marriage. Ashley tells people in a statement, while I hoped for mutual understanding and transparency in our relationship, it's become clear that our paths are no longer aligned, making it impossible for me to continue in this marriage. So there is no understanding and there's no transparency. You're still lying. Yeah, he's still lying. And so, again, when people are consistent lies like that, they might be kleptomaniacs, who knows? They might be narcissists, who knows? But it also might be emotionally unsafe. We lie oftentimes, okay? We lie oftentimes because we don't feel emotionally safe with telling the truth. We're afraid of the consequence that may come from telling the truth. So we are not emotionally safe within ourselves to feel okay with telling the truth. I've been there, so I know, and we've all been there, right? It's a human thing. But he consistently, again, I'm guessing, has flouted the trust in the relationship, okay? And that's how we got to this point, because Ashley was 10 toes down. If all the madness that was going on, Ashley was 10 toes down. So it means that he potentially was continuing that behavior on and on and on and on and on. Okay. So something's obviously happened that she's decided that she no longer is going to continue in that relationship. Now, I want to quickly just switch to Ikechi. I won't do too long because I'll do a separate video for that because I want to talk about Juan as well. Juan was also there, but that's another video again. So, Ikechi and Juan's situation is really interesting because Ikechi was looking for what we call, let me see this.
A desire to see how I am. So it's just after a long day of work, hey, how are you? How are you doing? How was your day?
So Ikechi here tells us, listen, he wants to, at the end of the day, he wants his woman to be like, hey, how are you? Are you doing okay? He wants Imem to check up on him and make sure he's doing good. So he wants to be seen. He wants to be heard. There's nothing wrong with that. We want you to feel seen and heard. That is a natural inclination. But again, you don't exactly. He doesn't want anyone to question him. He doesn't want people to ask how he's doing. He just wants you to know instinctively. And see, with that aspect, if you want someone just to know instinctively without actually getting to know your baseline, how would I be able to do that? You live in a fairy tale. That's the whole point. People do this all the time. Ikechi is not alone. There's a lot of people who do this. They live in a fairy tale where they believe that the other person should read their mind. Right? That the other person should just know what you feel. They just instinctively should know where you're coming from. Instinctively, they should know what you're doing. They should instinctively, they should know exactly what you're thinking and feeling. You know what I'm saying to you? And I'm like, how would they know that? How would they know? How would they just instinctively know that that you want to come home and you want me to ask you questions? You want to go to bed at 9 o'clock. What time are you finishing work? You're not emotionally safe. And this is the biggest issue. He's not emotionally safe. Because if he was, he would tell the truth about how he really feels so that she could actually begin to provide for his needs. The reason why he's unable to tell her that what his needs are, one, I don't think he actually fancies her, if I'm honest with you. Number two, the reason why he doesn't tell her is because for him, in his particular mindset, is that there is a fear of rejection. Do you know why people don't tell people what their needs are? They're afraid that if they do tell people their needs, they don't feel that their needs will actually be met. And if it's not met, then they're rejected. And if they're rejected, they start feeling that their self-esteem is going to be put in a bin again, and their self-worth. Because if you can say no to me, then is it really worth it? Am I really worth it? Oh, sorry about the live. Oh yeah, it's meant to be 8 o'clock EST. My bad. I'll change the time for you guys. Thank you. I'll change the time. Thank you. So the fear is that when you ask for your needs, the fear is, I don't feel safe asking you, because if you do reject it, I'm going to feel unstable. Because if you say no, what does that mean about me? What does that mean about me? Do you see what I'm saying to you? That's the fear. If I tell you that I want you to ask how my day is going when I come through the door, and I tell you that, and you don't do it, I am going to internalize. And this is where the issue is. Oof. Man, the amount of work I've had to do last year, man, I'm telling you, it's crazy to think. And I'm not talking about even coaching, I'm talking about the work that I've had to do, because a lot of this is my own work I've had to do. To see a situation and not internalize it. When I say internalize it, what I mean by that is not to take it inward and go, it's because you don't value me, that's why you're doing that. Rather than saying, actually, maybe there's a reason why you didn't want to do it, or you couldn't do it. Your natural first thought is, I must not be worthy, that's why you're not doing it. Or, you don't respect me, that's why you're doing that. And rather than saying, actually, are there some reasons, some genuine reasons as to why you don't do it? Your first thought goes into judgment, not inquiry. And that's another word you're going to hear me say a lot this year. The first thought when someone doesn't meet your needs or your standards or your expectation is that there is an aspect of judgment before inquiry. You run straight to, they don't rate me, they don't love me, they don't like me. They don't care for me. If they did, they would have done it. Oh, rather than going, first and foremost, hold on a minute. It's got nothing to do with my value. It's to do with how you value me, but that's not to do with how I value me. Your first thought goes into judgment. So your actual action leads to judgment. That's why he acts the way he does with her. That's why he's so defensive with her and attacks her. Because his first thought is not inquiry. Instead of him to be like, you know what? Like, for instance, the conversation about when they spoke about, I want to tap my head like I've got weave or wig on. When they spoke about the vows, right? They spoke about the vows. And when they spoke about the vows, instead of leading with inquiry and saying, you know what, she asked him, how do you feel about the vows? Right? Renewing our vows in the last episode. And then he ended up saying, you know, he thought that she was an asshole. Well, how do you get to the point where you call someone an asshole? You've made a judgment. You've made a judgment. So instead of having an inquiry to dig a little bit deeper, instead of to lead the way in leadership and do the very thing that you said you want her to do, I haven't heard you ask her questions that are going to open her up. Where are the questions that he should be asking to make sure that actually the very thing that I want to see happen to me, I want to do to you? Do you know why he can't do those things? Because he doesn't know how to do it, but expects you to do it. And that's the what we call the paradox that many insecure attached people actually begin to exist in. Many people, whether it's anxious attached, whether it's fearful, whether it's dismissive avoidant, there is this paradox that they exist in, right? In this space, the very thing that you want, you don't even do. You want your needs to be met, but you don't even ask the person the very questions that you feel like you should be asking, that they want to ask you. Right? Jacqueline says, obviously that's why he counsels young people. The funny thing is, I believe he can be a good counselor. And I'll tell you why. Counseling somebody when your heart's not on the line is very different to counseling somebody who you're not in a relationship, who you're in a relationship with. Many people can be okay and comfortable until their heart is actually on the line. Then you actually see who they actually are. Which is why when you get close to people, you actually see who them really are. Like, I'm sure people at work might say Ikechi's a great guy. They don't have his heart on the line, so they don't know. But once his heart is on the line, that's when the bastard comes out, man. That's when the bastardry comes out. Because now his fear is that he'll be rejected, abandoned, or betrayed. Right? So you want someone to say that ask me how I'm doing. Okay? I hear it.
It's really that simple.
How you feel about what he's saying?
I feel like I'm kind of trying to figure it out, and I know you want me to just be, but it's hard for me. So I don't.
Now, obviously, we've got a super avoidant and a super anxious person, because obviously she said she doesn't know how to be. Whenever you don't know how to be, that's usually the anxious side of things. Anxious people don't know how to be. But we're not talking about MM today, right? And that can be a little bit triggering for an avoidant person. But irrespective of that, there is a growth aspect here of being able to communicate what you need then, right? And doing that in a way that, and again, this is the difficulty. How do you show leadership is that you're going to have to then end up doing the very thing that you want to be done for you. Right? He needs to learn how to create a safe environment to be able to express his needs, and then be able to also learn how to be assertive in communication. He hasn't got assertive communicational tools because he's too triggered to be able to assert what he really wants. His trigger takes him to a place where he becomes aggressive. The very thing he labeled against her is very much who he is. See, I had to learn this myself, right? That when you're in a place of being emotionally aroused and triggered because you're afraid of what may happen, abandonment, rejection, or betrayal, what can happen is your language will shift either to passiveness or it shifts to aggression. Passiveness in a sense of you will people please to try and get your needs met. Right? Or aggression, you will sabotage the situation, say something to that other person in order to get your needs met. Right? And that's the key thing. That is the key thing. That is really the key. That's a really key thing. You will go to either side. You need to be able to have an assertive communication where you're able to assert your needs, at the same time be able to respect the other person too. And because he doesn't feel, because there's no emotional safety in what we call here dealing with difficult emotions. Let me show you something again. Emotional safety with dealing with difficult emotions, sadness, anger, fear, or disgust. And you hear a lot of men who they're not emotionally safe, you know. When you hear a man say to you, oh, I don't do emotions, or women are more emotional than men. Whenever I start hearing that, I go, you're probably not emotionally safe because you don't understand emotions. When, you see men get more angry, but they're more afraid. But their anger is a cover up for the fear. You're not emotionally safe. And there's a lot of women like that too, but I'm talking about the men specifically today. Okay? All right? Now, Ayala asked a question. Why is it that he's so eager to get on a show after several times being declined? Very simple. Because he wants love. Just like Tyler, he wants love, but he's afraid of it. He wants love, but he's afraid of it. He's afraid of the maintenance and the work that's required. He's afraid of being disappointed. He's afraid of disappointing, and he's afraid of being rejected, betrayed, or abandoned. And so that's why he went on the show. Now, part of that, maybe he had another agenda, sell some books, but the books ain't selling. So he done messed it up. Okay? All right? Now my time is up because we reached 45 minutes. Let me ask the last question. Someone said, Kojo, you may as well ask for the moon. How can an avoidant create a safe space if they never saw it as a kid? The first thing that anybody can do, right, in terms of creating a safe space, is a great question, and I have to do a separate video for this. So please remind me, send me an email actually as well, double D88. Send me an email because I want to do videos on my coaching channel specific for things like this as well, because it's actually a really good question. So how do we create a safe space? First and foremost, you need to sit down with yourself, right? Look, when we look at this emotional safe space, it's about sitting down with self. You are not running from relationships, you're running from you. That is who you're running from. You're not running from relationships, you're running from you. And that is that for you to be able to have a better relationship when it comes to being emotionally safe, it means slow the heck down. Stop running from yourself. That is who you're running from. You run into relationships, but you end up running from you. You need to slow down. You need to stop. And then you need to ask yourself the key question, why? You need to be inquisitive about yourself. Right? We need to be inquisitive about ourselves. When you begin to ask, why do I do this? Why do I feel this way? Many people will ask it and then leave it. Because it gets scary when they go down a rabbit hole. They will, like for instance with Ikechi, if he knew when he said she's an asshole. When he got home, I'm sure when he got home, he realized he is a problem. And if not when he got home, by a year later, he knows he's a problem, right? And he's gonna have to sit with himself. Many a time, and I remember my time is going. Let me do this quickly. I said a couple of years ago. This is a couple of years ago, almost like a decade now. I wasn't like Ikechi, but remember I told you I had the statement where I said to one of my ex-girlfriends, I said, "If you leave me, I don't care." I wasn't emotionally safe, but I thought I was good, but I wasn't emotionally safe because I was always afraid of somebody leaving me or abandoning me. So I was trying to get ahead of the devil ahead of time. Now the work that I had to do was I had to actually face me. I actually had to go, why do you keep saying those things? Why is it that you in a relationship say these things? Why is it that your relationships aren't working the way you want it to work? Like him, I was saying the exact same things. I was like, I wanted the girl to ask more about how I was. I wanted her to talk, because she, the girl at a time was a talker, but she never really asked questions. She's always just talking. Now, I don't think it's anything bad. I just think, you know what I'm saying to you? Like, it's not anything bad. Again, I don't think we're necessarily compatible, but there's nothing really bad of it. But I didn't have the language nor the vocabulary at that time. I didn't have the language or the vocabulary at that time to be able to tell her, listen, effectively, listen, this is what I need from you. Now, I told her, but I didn't tell her in that particular way. I told him like he told her. I was aggressive with it rather than being assertive. Hey, look, I want you to ask questions more about me. I want you to get to know me a bit more, right? But here's what I really needed. Therapy. What he really needs is therapy. And when I say therapy, what I mean by this is he actually needs somebody just to listen to him. And I'm not talking about a girlfriend. Your girlfriend can't fix you. He needs to find somebody, and that's why I said therapy or a counselor, where he can tell his story. The biggest issue that he's facing is that he's never told his story. And because you haven't told your story, you are burdened and laden with the weight of what you faced. And until the truth is released, you can't be set free. The issue that I had with one of my ex-girlfriends was because I couldn't tell someone what I had gone through. I said, where do I even start? Where do I even start from? Because there's so much of my life that's gone on, and I've been taught not to talk about business that's at the home. So it was just like, where do I go to? And there are many men like this, and this is why a lot of women become rehabilitation centers for men. Because those men really need therapy, but they choose women, and women, because they want to show that they are valuable, because a lot of women want to show that they're valuable because they have their own wounds, they end up playing the role of a counselor. And that man will use you, abuse you, and then leave you. And you're like, what happened? Well, he needed a counselor, and he needed a therapist, and you became it. Right? So those men need to be accountable, but a lot of times, a lot of men need therapists. And the reason why they run is because they don't believe that anybody wants to hear their story. But they will scream from the highest shout, you know. They'll tell you, nobody listens to me. No, but you don't even want to listen to you. You know? You don't even want to listen to you. So why do you think other people are going to? But it's, see, because you don't want to listen to you, believe that other people don't want to listen to you. Because you don't want to listen to you. Because you don't want to slow down. Because you don't want to take your time. Because you don't want to be inquisitive about yourself. You believe that you don't have value. Therefore, why would you then feel like the therapist would find value in your story? So now you're stuck. And now you're calling your woman an arsehole, when really and truly, you've become the arsehole. Right? Rather than being accountable, you've projected onto the other person. That's the work that Ikechi needs to go and do. He needs a therapist. He needs a therapist. He needs a counselor. He just needs somebody to just listen to him. That's it. Tell your story from the beginning to end. And I asked this question. Type in the chat. We've got 220 people in this chat. Okay, 220 people in this chat. I want to know how many of you have told your story, your life story, to someone. Just want to know. Just type in the chat. Just say yes or no if you have. Just tell us if you have told your story to somebody before. If you've managed to tell your story. Just put a yes or no in the chat. I'm intrigued to find out. Just say yes or no. If you've managed to tell your life story in the chat. It can be anybody. Anybody. If you've managed to tell your story, type in the chat for me. If you've told your story in the chat, yes or no. If you've told your story, just say yes or no. Yeah, if it's partial, it's no. If it's partial, it's no. More than likely, if it's partial, you compartmentalize. Okay. Those of you who have said yes, of course, by exceptions are exceptions. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule. Those people that have said yes, I believe that when you told someone the full truth of your story, was there not a weight that was lifted off your chest when you told them finally? When you told somebody the fullness of your story, was there not a weight lifted off your shoulders when you finally were able to trust somebody, even if they're a random person, trust somebody with your truth? Was there not a weight lifted off your shoulders? Those who have said no, do you not feel like the world is still heavy on your shoulders emotionally? Those who have said no, are you the emotional rock for most of your friends and your family and everybody else around you? Watch this now. Those of you who said no, you haven't told your story. how many of you are emotional rocks for other people? Meaning you are everybody else's therapist, you're everybody else's counselor, you're the person that is a secret vault, you are the person that everybody comes to when they need to tell a story to, when they need advice, you are that person. Those who said no, how many of you are the emotional counselor, therapist for your friends? Shout out to those who had emotional releases. Someone said I had it in therapy. I love that. Yes, someone said yes. Elsa said folks can't handle the full truth. Hey, that's how it starts. Yeah. I'll say the question again. Jay asked what the question is. Okay. Those who had said no. Okay. Those who had said no. And even those who said yes, I'm sure this also as well. Right? How many of you are emotional therapists, counselors? You are the listening ear. You are the emotional rock for your friends and your family. You are the go-to person. When anything goes wrong, when anything needs to be spoken about, you are that particular person. Right? Most of the people in this chat are that way. You know why? Because I'm that way. And like-minded people find like-minded people. This is why we have a tribe here. Energy meets energy. But we're going to release that this year, right? Because I'm going to challenge you, I'm going to challenge me. In 2025, we're going to challenge each other, okay? We are going to grow together. Whether you're a part of my coaching, or whether you're a part of this YouTube, Mason, we are going to grow together because I'm going to challenge you by challenging me, right? Because those of you who are withholding your story, you are carrying a weight. And until you release it, you are always going to have a weight on your shoulders. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? Until you're ready to release it, until you're able to trust somebody with that story. Elsa said something very funny, right? She said, I don't want to incriminate myself. That is how most people feel, though. That's how most of us feel. That's how those of us who, we all feel that way, that we don't want to incriminate ourselves. I don't want to tell someone the story because I don't want them to judge me, or I don't want to tell someone the story because I don't want to give anybody ammunition, you know, because some of us have experienced some things. We have told people some stuff and it's been used against us, right? But when you feel emotionally safe, you tend to let those things bounce off you. It's like, well, if you decided to use it against me, it's on you. I can see that you're not safe. I know I feel safe. I'm good. Right? So it's about us creating that emotional safety for ourselves first. You know what I mean? So for us, you know, and maybe another live we'll talk about this, where we'll talk about the story and releasing some of that burden as well. Because I definitely want to do a live. I probably will do it maybe tomorrow, Friday, before I go back to UK. Because some of the things that I've learned, you know, some of the things I've learned from just being, you know, I can't tell the story just yet. It's not the time. God will allow me in the right time to permit the story. But I've learned through the fire of being emotionally safe and being able just to even share intimate thoughts. I didn't think it was possible. So I'm telling you from experience, I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think it was possible to share a burden of things that seem to be heavy or things that might not necessarily be safe to share with somebody. I didn't trust nobody to share that information with, because I always felt like I can't trust them with this information because I don't want them to be burdened. And it's because I was projecting. I feel burdened by everybody else's burdens. So I don't want you to feel what I feel. You're projecting. You're projecting. You're talking about how you feel and projecting it onto others. You're going to have to trust somebody. Right? So again, the motto we're talking about is not judgment first, inquiry first, then we can make a judgment. Let's inquire first and then make a judgment. Okay? All right? I want to talk about Juan so bad because Juan, Juan, man, Juan, I got to talk about Juan in another video, man, because he tried to make it like Carla was the one that, he said, Carla, I've done all the work. But you couldn't even talk when you were finishing off your story. That told me if I need to know. I said, Juan is somebody who likes to promote that he's better than people and does not realize he's in the same boat as you. He's in the same boat as you. That's what I want to talk about Juan. So I'll probably do it. We probably might do it tonight because I know we've got a live tonight anyway. But I definitely want to do a separate video for Juan. But I was like looking at him going, how dare you be trying to almost belittle Carla by, that I've done all the work the last few years. I said, Juan. And you crying over your letter, talking about your past. I said, nah, brother, come back and redo it, bro. Come back and read. You couldn't even finish. You couldn't even finish. You couldn't even finish the story. So I told me, I said, listen, bro, don't make yourself better than Carla when you're not better than Carla. You're in the same boat as Carla. You need to heal. I've done the work as an inner child, and it's all about inner child work. You ain't finished. You ain't finished. You ain't finished. Anyway, we're gonna go. There's another video I need to do anyway, so we gotta go. So listen, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button. I've still got some emergency slots before the next round of coaching that I do this year. But make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. I will break this video down slightly so we can do half and half, Ikechi and Tyler. So if you see the video again, I've broken it in half so you guys can watch it in smaller chunks. All right, so make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Much love. Little black book, you know what time it is.